time for us to go viral. Last night, Russell Westbrook was trying to save a loose ball when a young fan sitting courtside rushed him. Russ goes... Pushed him. Russ goes full dad mode here. You know what?
No, that's all right. It was a tongue twister. Push, Russ, I understand. Russ handled this perfectly. Yeah, that was cute. And Russ talked about it after the game. He said, I didn't know it was a kid that pushed me. Yeah. And then I saw it was. So I talked to the dad and said, you got to teach your kid better. And then I told the young fella, can't be putting your hands on people. Parents, man, teach your kids better. Kids in $5,000, $8,000 seat. You're happy for him. You can't put your hands on the athletes. I don't blame the young man. That dad, though.
Handled well, though. Handled very well by Russ.
Russ could have given the dad a fresh one. I would have been fine with it.
Yeah, I don't think the kid. I think the natural reaction, you're down there, like a big body's coming close to you.
It wasn't one of those. It was, he was slapping at him. Listen, I've had an 11-year-old son before. Like, he's just being a silly little boy. But it's the parent's job to let the kids know what the proper protocol is. So Russ stepped in and said, hey, I'm a parent. I'm going to let you know.
He did the right thing by talking to the dad.
Absolutely.
Talk to the parent.
He was nice to the kid, too.
Yeah, he was nice to the kid.
Back to the NFL now. The Cowboys, they've got a busy offseason ahead of them, a to-do list with a number of players they want to sign. They also have a big question mark with Jason Garrett entering his final year of his contract. Despite being on the hot seat most of the year, Dallas won the NFC East and a playoff game against Seattle. However, Stephen Jones says the Cowboys will not be complacent moving forward.
No one thinks more of him than we do. But at the same time, I know he uses it. Everybody's back's against the wall right now. We've got a really good young team. We've got high expectations for this young team. And everybody from Jason to his staff to our players to ownership to the organization feels the pressure to take the next step. Our fans deserve that. And we hadn't done it in a long time. And we certainly feel the pressure to do it.
What do you think, Nick? Is this going to be a make-or-break season for Jason Garrett?
Here's the deal. Jason Garrett's been in the playoffs 3 times. Since in the 10 years been coach of the Dallas Cowboys. This will be his 10th year. First time they went to the playoffs, went 12-4. That was the Dez caught it year, a game away from the NFC Championship game. Then Tony Romo gets hurt. The next season's ruined, and you don't blame him for that. Then Dak's first year. Tony Romo obviously is hurt. That's why it's Dak's first year. They go 13-3, and then the following year, take a step back. Now this year, they make the playoffs, and what Stephen Jones is talking about is we now expect, instead of a step back or instead of staying in neutral, the next step forward, which is exactly what the Cowboys should expect. They are going to be able to bring back basically the entirety of the team they had last year. Unless someone way overpays for DeMarcus Lawrence, I would imagine the Cowboys will make him priority #1 this offseason. And they have a young, talented team that at the last 10 games of the year, playoffs included, went 8-2, won a playoff game. So you should want to take a step forward. This is why, in my eyes, they appear to be heading towards the very odd decision, of having a coach on a lame duck contract. A guy going into year 10 without a contract extension because they expect this team not to be 7-5 and just alive for the playoffs, but a team that can be 11 wins, 12 wins, be a favorite to reach the NFC Championship game, a place they haven't been in 20-plus years.
And it's not fair to him, too, because you might be able to trust Jason Garrett coaching the Dallas Cowboys, but right now we know during the season last year they changed their coaching duties. John Kitna, first-time coaching in the NFL, and Kellen Moore, a very, very young offensive coach. He's coaching. He's the offensive coordinator. So why would you take Jason Garrett with the unproven staffing on the offensive side and not give him a contract extension? He is a good fit with the ownership. I don't care how good people think he is. It's how good do you fit in? And for him, dealing with Jerry Jones and how they've developed their talent, absent of a couple spots, a playmaking safety, a playmaking tight end, and or an opposite receiver opposite of Amari Cooper, those are really the only spots that they don't have the type of personnel that you can win a championship with.
So when the team is preemptively talked about, I know we'll get into it, extensions for Dak, extensions for Zeke, why do you think they are right now looking like they're doing the odd thing and not giving their head coach a contract extension after they make the playoffs and win win a playoff game.
I think they're going to sign all their players. I think they're going to try to sign maybe a free agent or two, Earl Thomas being the top of as far as priority. But I believe they're going to sign Jason Garrett to an extension before the season. They already know that, so they aren't going to address it. I believe that they're trying to win the press conference by saying, no, we're going to put pressure on him. But Jason Garrett is not going to. He has enough leverage over the Cowboys that they wouldn't force him to coach in the last year of his contract, which is not customary for an NFL coach, especially an NFL coach that is beyond their first contract.
Right. The only time you typically ever see it, just quickly, is where a coach will go into his lame duck year, is signs a 4-year contract with the team. Going into year 3, they're thinking he's probably getting fired after this year. Year 3 has mixed results enough to where you bring him back. And you're like, okay, we'll let you play out, coach out the full contract, or at least get into year 4, but we're not giving you an extension. It's very rare that a coach is on his 3rd contract with the team and they have him coach out the lame duck season, which is why I have found the flirtation with Sean Payton odd. I have found the Cowboys have gone out of their way to talk when they didn't have to about re-signing their players.
Right.
And seemingly have gone out of their way to talk about, we'll see on Jason Garrett.
And if they start the 2019 season and he doesn't have a contract, he'll be a lame duck. Like for every, he will not be able to survive the start that they had last year, Nick, that you pointed out. They did recover with 8-2, but being a lame duck coach that last year, he wouldn't be able to survive that pressure, the media attention, and all the questions.
Cowboys have a lot to do this offseason, not just what they're going to do with Jason Garrett, but there's a lot of guys that they want to pay a lot of money to. And Stephen Jones made a point. He's saying their #1 priority is going to be quarterback Dak Prescott. What do you think about that?
That, to me, is just illogical. So you have Amari, who you traded for, who has 1 year left on his deal. That, to me, is a priority. You have Zeke, who you have said, listen, Todd Gurley set the standard. We're going to re-sign Zeke. It might be a little early by some people's taste, but his play has deserved.
Yeah, he's got 2 years left.
Right. You have DeMarcus Lawrence, who you already franchise tagged, who was excellent last year, best defensive lineman. Your second best defensive lineman, Randy Gregory, unfortunately, it looks like he's not going to be able to play this year. And we don't know about David Irving. DeMarcus Lawrence is A1 priority. You must re-sign him. And with the Gregory and Irving news, he probably can really hold you over a barrel to a degree as far as getting maybe 20% more than his market value. Dak has been hot and cold throughout his career. You've got him for 1 more year at $2 million. Then you could franchise tag him. The rush to pay Dak Prescott early makes no sense to me. You are going to be you finally could be in a good salary cap spot this coming offseason. You got $50 million, but we know DeMarc's is going to get money. Zeke's going to get money. They might try to extend Byron Jones. Why they have said, for 4 months, we're going to extend Dak when they don't have to, is, to me, totally illogical.
I think the way Dak plays, because Dak is not a pure drop-back passer. Dak is going to have to be able to, and we talk about, well, what are they going to have to do offensively, create more big plays? What do we say? Dak's got to be able to run the ball. You can't have Dak in the last year of his contract. He's been your starting quarterback for 3 years, and you want him to play that type of style where you have to be reckless. You have to extend him to be able to give him the type of confidence that even if you were to get hurt, that this is not a make or break year for you. It relieves some pressure from him. So from that standpoint, if that's what they're trying to do, then I understand. It is a priority because the only way that I can get this quarterback to be better is to try to empower him. And for that style, for right now, the way he plays football and the way the Cowboys need him to play, where he has to be a runner with the football, you can't allow him to play that last year and play that style.
If you do end up locking up all these guys, how much of a disadvantage is, say, your offensive line, or which has been such an important part of this team?
Well, so last year they had the cheapest quarterback room in the league, the cheapest secondary room in the league, and the second cheapest tight end group in the league because they had the most expensive offensive line. That offensive line gets more expensive this year. They have $57 million, 30% of their cap allocated right now to their offensive line. And in a world, I know you've talked, C, about the offensive linemen, potentially some of them taking a reduction. I just saw Greg Robinson get 1 year, $9 million. If I'm a guy with all pros on my resume, Travis Frederick's in an odd situation because of the syndrome he has. But it's going to be hard-pressed for me to take an actual reduction. Now, maybe I'll move money around.
Yes.
Maybe I'll do something like like that. But to take an actual reduction, to me, that would be a hard sell.
I think all three of those players, there's reason enough. Travis Frederick, we know that he has the syndrome coming back. So there's a reason to go to him. He's not the best center in football. So not to give him a reduction, but to be able to move some money around. Tyron Smith, the left tackle. He's not the best left tackle in football. There's a reason to go to him to get some money back, to get his cap lower. And Zach Martin, Zach, you want to keep playing with the best offensive line? We need your help. All right, because you're the best offensive lineman that we have. So what I've known about offensive linemen, typically they're the most unselfish on the offensive side of the ball, and typically outside the quarterback, they're one of the smartest. So all three of those guys, I could see playing with that star on your helmet, it means something. And those skilled guys that they're going to play with, they make their job easier. So I could make a case for all three of them, and the reason why they would make adjustments to be able to help Jerry and Steven out.
All right, let's get back to the NBA now. The Celtics got blown out by the Raptors last night by 23 points, their biggest loss of the season. Kyrie just a few days ago said no one can beat the Celtics team in 7 games.
Nope, it'll be 5.
Well, the Kyrie was held to just 7 points last night. Boston has now dropped 5 of their last 7. Many reasons why. Is it the chemistry, effort, coaching? Here's Marcus Smart when asked what he thinks is wrong with the team.
We're just not together. The last couple of years we were together, and now things hit, we become stronger. We're not there yet. And like I said, we're going to get there. It's just taking time.
Marcus said that you guys aren't playing together. Is that a fair diagnosis?
That's Marcus' opinion.
Is it yours? Brad talked about just defensively, you guys have been taking shortcuts. So do you see that, and how do you guys fix things like that at this point in the season, do you feel like?
I don't know, it's up to Brad.
All right, Nick, how does this next stretch for the Celtics, this playoff push, how will this affect Kyrie's future with the team?
Well, how they do in the playoffs will determine if they have any chance of retaining him. And the team knows it. This is why Danny Ainge, before we saw Kyrie there, Danny Ainge, when the locker room was opened up to reporters, was sitting with Kyrie, talking privately. They know that Kyrie's not having fun. They know that Kyrie right now is going to have a plethora of options, and they know that this season has not gone the way Kyrie thought it would when he committed to the team back in October.
Nick, are you surprised by the Kyrie Irving reaction to the questions after talking to Danny Ainge? Because Danny Ainge talking to one of the players, their star player, Kyrie Irving, that's not something that normally would happen. But you would think with the general manager in your ear, and you're getting ready to give these sound bites to Boston and potentially the rest of the NBA world, and for him not to respond that way after Danny Ainge. So obviously whatever Danny Ainge told him, it did not work.
Well, or it worked in this regard. Kyrie was about to do what he's done a few times this year, which is have some very controversial, inflammatory words.
Okay.
And Danny Ainge calmed him enough not to where he would necessarily, and this is, again, just my opinion. I have no proof of this.
No, but that was great insight, because I saw the game and everything. I didn't know of the follow-up. I didn't know Ainge had talked to Kyrie. I was just taking on the face value of, man, I'm frustrated. The team's losing. I don't have anything to say. I've been in that predicament before and didn't say anything. But to say that the general manager talked to me before that, and so that would mean something.
To me, Kyrie maybe had some stronger comments. Ainge talked those out of him. Couldn't necessarily talk enough to where he's going to, guys, it's no problem. You know, we're going to turn it around. So he was a little more demure and soft-spoken. But this has not been what Kyrie thought it would be. It's not been what seemingly anyone in the NBA world, except for a few people, thought this Celtics team would be. They were supposed to win 60-some games. They were supposed to, it wasn't supposed to be Giannis's time yet.
It wasn't to pick up where they left off last year.
Except even supercharged.
Yes.
It was supposed to be fun and easy, a lot of fourth quarters with the starters resting. Not where you have been mired in the 5th position in the East all year. Not a team that last year couldn't lose at home in the playoffs until Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals is now in a situation where they might not have a home court advantage in a single series, and they guaranteed wouldn't have it after the first round. I see at this point, barring this thing turning around entirely in the postseason and the Celtics making it to the Eastern Conference Finals at a minimum, I see no scenario where Kyrie would stay, because why would he?
I mean, it's always been on the board when he went to Boston. Boston was not a place that he requested. And then right now, you and your teammates saying, I'm not having a good time. Why would he sign to go back? Because what he is signing up for is signing up to play more basketball with basically the same group of guys that they have. And I just believe that Terry Rozier is going to be a starting point guard. And it's amazing how when Kyrie's out, he's having a great season. But they're better as a team when the team is being run by Terry Rozier.
Well, this year, somehow, even though Kyrie's having the best season of his career and all the advanced numbers say on court, off court, so much better with Kyrie, when Kyrie doesn't play, they're 9-2. When he does play, they're 28-22. That is, it's the difference between being a great team and just a decent team. It makes no sense, but that's what we're seeing.
We got to go. We're back here tomorrow morning.